Chthonian Nightmare. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is a new Recurring Nightmare. And for cEDH specific purpose, it's honestly much better. Kind of reminds me how much I want the original Recurring Nightmare to be legal inside this format. Now this is 1 black, 1 generic, so a total of 2 mana for an enchantment. The original Recurring Nightmare is free, so that's an upgrade. Now when Chthonian Nightmare enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy counters. Then you may pay X energy and sacrifice a creature. Return this Chthonian Nightmare to owner's hand. Then you get the effect cooldown. Return target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. They have more or less made this so that you can't reanimate really big expensive creatures, because you're only generating 3 energy when this thing comes into play, which means that you can only reanimate something that has CMC 3 or less. Now the big thing and why this is better than a Recurring Nightmare, specifically inside cEDH, is that we're mostly going to just reanimate a 2 CMC Dockside Extortionist. This is going to be a 2-card combo with Dockside Extortionist straight up. Or well, it kinda depends on how many treasures your opponents are giving you. But let's say we cast Dockside Extortionist. We generate 5 treasures. Pay 2 of the 5, cast this spell, sacrifice the Dockside Extortionist and reanimate any creature with CMC 3 or less from the graveyard. That doesn't really matter. This enchantment goes back to your hand. We cast it again, we're down to 1 treasure remaining, and we sacrifice the creature we just recently reanimated, and now we reanimate Dockside. We generate 5 more treasures, going up to 6. We can now create a loop where we're basically netting +1 treasure in each iteration. Also, by the way, we're going to generate infinite energy, so eventually we can actually reanimate bigger creatures too. And because of only this, the card is now great. To give you an example, we are already playing Animate Dead to specifically reanimate Dockside. So this card is going to be a combo piece, but it's also going to be a form of slow value engine. Let's call it rebuild plan, so to say. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're playing Nigella the Blade Blossom and you have a bunch of creatures in your graveyard. Nigella is creating tokens and you're using this enchantment to sacrifice those tokens to reanimate your key creatures of various sorts. You could, for example, reanimate a Derevi with this thing for your Nigella. So in various builds, depending on what kind of creatures you have, and depending on your metagame, in some games your creatures will be killed over and over, and you can use this to bring those creatures back into action. But you can also sit and basically loop ETB creatures for strange value as well. So both a combo card, a kind of value engine of its own sort, but also a really fun card, I believe. Recurring Nightmare is actually one of my favorite cards in the entire game, and I've actually built a 60-card vintage deck completely around it. And I've always actually wanted to play Recurring Nightmare inside cEDH, and here! I got an option that is, in my opinion, better. Just because it's going to be 1 less mana, and we don't really care about the part where you can't really reanimate big creatures, because in the end, the only thing you're going to basically be reanimating are CMC 2 to 3 creatures. Mostly CMC 2, like your Orcish Bowmaster that gets killed. Dockside has already been mentioned. Phantasmal Image is going to be reanimated heavily with this thing. Flesh Duplicate. Yeah, you get the picture. Oh yeah, you can also reanimate Ranger Captain of Eos repetitively with this thing. That's evil. So once again, besides being that potential combo with Dockside Extortionist, it's still a pretty good value engine as well. Or a Swiss Army knife card might be a better word for it. With your creativity and deck construction IDs, you can make this enchantment do a lot of different variations of cool things. So as a finalized review, I think this card is great, and I do believe it's going to see some action in a lot of different cEDH deck lists, actually. I truly believe there's gonna be a lot of players bringing this to various tournaments inside their 99s. And once I have started to basically calculate data on this specific card, I do believe it's going to showcase a good performance. Like, I do believe that my data analysis that I'm usually doing is going to showcase that this is a good card overall and recommended for your build. I could be wrong, but I don't see how. To give you an example, Animate Dead is already showcasing a good result, and honestly, this is also just a better Animate Dead. Okay, Animate Dead is still actually good in a different angle. They are not equally the same, but they are similar. And in any case, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this short card review for this new cool card, Chthonian Nightmare. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time.